What's up, everybody? May 15th, Zen here. I got my mycorrhiza in the mail, and so it's transplant day. This is kind of like my staging area. It gets full sun. We have Malabar spinach grown from seed. We have Acerola Barbados cherry. This one I got off of eBay. It lost all its leaves, but it restarted. This one I got at a local nursery. It lost all its leaves as well when I transplanted it or uppotted it, and it has restarted. Here we have three yellow squashes, and then my various cannabis collection. You can check out my detailed videos on my cannabis grow if you like. And three patio baby eggplants. So anyways, I try to grow everything completely organically and naturally. I only fertilize with compost and earthworm castings. I got a vermicomposting bin in the garage, and I have a compost pile started in the garden. But the one thing I do use, that I do purchase, is the mycorrhiza, which is the beneficial fungus, which extends the reach of the roots and extends the plant's intake of nutrients. Better people than I can explain. Sorry about the noise. It's garbage collecting day, but better people than I can explain about mycorrhiza. Go look it up if you like. But this stuff is necessary, especially where I'm going to be planting this stuff out in the garden. So today we're going to be transplanting these three luscious yellow squash that I've grown from seed. So let's go out to the transplant area. Alright, here we go. This is where I'm going to be placing the yellow squash. It is around the drip line of my jujube tree. I figured as I water the tree, I won't be forgetting to water the squash and vice versa. I wasn't even thinking about trying to plant vegetables out in the garden. I was afraid the rabbits that were around here would start eating them all. I didn't think much would grow out here. The soil is clay, really compacted, and only the trees get water. But I found a volunteer tomato plant, and I kept watering it, and it's grown to this. And it gives off the best tomatoes that I have. I had a tomato plant in my crappy little raised bed garden over there, which didn't really do too well. It gave off really little tomatoes. The soil is really compacted in there. I'm going to have to redo the whole raised bed. But as you can see, I mean, I just harvested a bunch of tomatoes today. But these are heirloom tomatoes. And this bush is prolific. Gives off tomatoes like crazy. It's indeterminate, so whenever it wants to fruit, it'll fruit. But as long as I keep it watered, it gives off a ton of tomatoes. So if I can grow tomatoes out here, well then as long as I take care of the soil, I should be able to grow all kinds of stuff out here. And so I started peppers out here. This one actually has a pepper on it that's starting to turn orange. But what I've been doing is I've been digging holes, planting holes, and then filling them with organic matter and keeping them wet so that eventually the organic matter breaks down into compost, and it keeps the soil wet, which invites all kinds of microbial activity and the earthworms and all that kind of stuff. So basically just preparing areas for planting. And eventually I plan to have so many vegetables out here that this whole entire area is just going to be transformed into an edible landscape. So that's the general plan. But as you can see, this is what's left of the leaf mulch. I basically dug a trench here, filled it with leaf mulch, kept it watered, kept it covered with this cardboard until it just broke down. and then I basically filled it in with native soil and just mixed it around. So we got a lot of compost in here, native soil, and I'm going to do the digging holes, fill them with mycorrhiza and earthworm castings from my vermicompost bin, and we'll get these squash planted. And that's next. Here we are, got the squash planted. Not the prettiest planting, but it should suffice. I ended up mulching it with the rest of the half-finished leaf compost, so I use it as a top dressing. It's not mixed into the soil, so it won't impede the growth by burning the roots or causing any anaerobic activity as the leaves break down in the soil. It's breaking down on top of the soil as a top dressing, so we'll see what happens. I've got 3 this year. Last year I planted 1 just to try it out. I heard that just 1 plant should be prolific enough to feed a family of 5. I grew 1 plant. There's just 2 people here. It was prolific in that it was growing a bunch of female flowers, but it wasn't growing any male flowers at the same time, so they wouldn't pollinate and they would just dry and wither off. So I had 1 healthy plant, but there's only 2 instances where they had both male flowers and female flowers at the same time. And so I ended up getting 2 squashes off of 1 plant. So this year I've got 3 plants. Hopefully I'll have enough male and female flowers that they'll be pollinated enough to bear some fruit. And that's it. We'll check back when they start fruiting.